Well, hello Instagrammers and YouTubers alike, and welcome back to Retro Direction. This is Michael, your host, and welcome to my YouTube channel for the reviews of retro video games, in particular PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn, and soon to come Dreamcast, GameCube even, the original Xbox, perhaps PS2. Actually, definitely at some point I'll review some classics there. But as promised, we've got Ridge Racer 7 this time on the PlayStation 3. And this one was released back in 2006, pretty much at the same time or thereabouts as the PSP versions. They share pretty much the same graphical style. And, well, there are more than 40 cars and 22 racetracks which you can race in the normal direction. You can race them in reverse, and also there are mirrored versions of those tracks. And you got your various game modes. The Ridge State Grand Prix is like your career mode. Online battle, what it says, time attack, and so on and so forth. UFRA special events are downloadable content. That was released about a year or so later, where you could download extra racing events at different venues. And then, a little while later after that, maybe 1 or 2 years, we had some extra music tracks as well, and some decals to customize your car. So there was a lot of extra content offered to us there. But anyway, for the purpose of the video, we're going to go into arcade mode so I can show you a little bit of what this game's about. Now, let's assume that there are a few of you that are uninitiated with the Ridge Racer franchise. It's all about arcade-style drifting with virtually no realism to speak of. This is just pure fun. And Ridge Racer 7, as the number suggests, the 7th in the series, is no exception. Anyway, let's have a look at some tracks. First of all, let's... where should we go? Where should we go? How about Midtown Parkway? How's that? Yeah, why not? Now, these are some of the cars I've unlocked. And you've got the Nitrous. I've set it to unlimited, but Nitrous was a very interesting addition to the Ridge Racer series. And when you hit top speed and you want a bit of extra boost to get you past the opposition, you activate your Nitrous. But you'll see that in game now. Now, first of all, the graphics are rock solid 60 frames a second. Very smooth movement there. And this is one of the first PS3 titles that could run in 1080p resolution, because mostly they were 720p or 1080i.
Racers, welcome.
You got two different announcers. The menu screens involves a very nice young fellow who sounds like a very nice young fellow, and in game you have a lady who cheers you on and tries to give you boost.
Good luck.
Not just nitrous boost. Of course, I'm making a bit of a mess of it here, but once you get used to the car and the way it handles, this game is a joy to play. Very much like the other Ridge Racers, but this one more so. As you can see, it's very smooth.
All nitrous tanks full.
There you go. Now, if you hold down the R2 and you keep it held down, when you've got a full 3 bars of nitrous, the car just shoots forward like it's some kind of a rocket from another world.
Whoa!
There you go.
Whoa! Yes!
Now, the other thing, the music is incredible. Some tracks you'll like more than others, but the techno music suits the game perfectly. You wouldn't want to play anything else as background music when you're playing this game. It's the music that goes with it.
Go!
It's very, very elegant, smooth music. It's just great. It's just brilliant. I love it. And I'm not usually one for modern boom boom music, but this one just goes perfectly. I'm more of an old fart kind of guy. I mean, I am an Italian singer, so I sing all the Italian classics, so that's what I'm into really. And oh, Nightwish, among other rock bands. And of course, actually I've got a very eclectic taste in music. But anyway, let's show you another track. Let's show you one at night time. The nighttime tracks are particularly stunning. Now the graphics themselves are very, very good indeed. Even to this day, they haven't really dated. If there's one slight bit of criticism you can level at the game, is the fact that the graphics are extremely sterile. I mean, when I say sterile, I mean they're fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, you're racing through a very, very clean city. And I mean, it's absolutely squeaky clean. There's not a bit of litter or dirt in sight. You don't see any people at all. There's probably one or two tracks where you see oncoming traffic, but it's on another part of the road that's sectioned off from where you're racing, and that's the only kind of extra life that you'll see. But the game is devoid of any people. When you're racing at night, all the office blocks and edifices and buildings, they're all lit up beautifully, and you think there are people in there watching or working.
Wave City Riverfront.
But there's nothing gritty about this at all.
3, 2, 1, go!
A couple of tracks are a little bit more kind of down to earth, but that's the first time ever in a Ridge Racer game, really.
See you at the finish line. Nitrous drift. Booyah!
Yeah, she's quite an incredible announcer, this girl, isn't she? Now notice when you do a huge jump, how the music kind of fades a little bit, as though you're suspended in midair and you're going through a vacuum. It's a very good effect. Only for the eagle-eared.
Whoa! Yeah!
And there you have it. Now let's change the background music. I want to choose one that's one of my favourite ones. Hang on, let's see it. Is it NetDisc, Highway Fusion, Photon Field? That's the one. This is so rousing. Gets me going every time, this one. This is the sort of tune you want playing in the background, pretty loud while you're racing through the city at night. Now, for the purpose of the video, I've sort of I've lowered the volume of the engine sounds because they're not that brilliant. They're okay, but if you leave them at their default setting, you're missing out on some cool music. You listen to this. It's bloody good. And there's the beautiful, clean city glittering in the distance there, and then you're going to drive through it, and it's so feel good. You know what? I love driving through cities at night. Now, I used to live in Venice, in Italy, and you could only walk through that one. I didn't have a boat. But I've driven through the odd one. quite spectacular, really. And look at that. Brilliant. And anyway, that's pretty much Ridge Racer in a nutshell. There isn't a lot you could say about it. It's all about racing. And now, for quite a few years now, since I first bought it, I haven't really played it online. But when I did, the online community, is probably not even active now. And it's a shame because the online community at the time was very active. It was very good, and the racing was so enjoyable. There was no bad stuff going on. It was just fun racing with lots of people having a laugh, having a blast. It was just great fun then. And let's go through a different music track. How about... Oh, hang on, that was a good one. Radiance, there you go. Of course, there's a blur effect at the edges of the screen when you put your nitro on as well. And of course, the cars are fictional. They're not real, but they may as well be because they're designed so well. And, you know, like the other Ridge Racer tracks, these ones are so well designed that when you do race them in reverse, it's like having an extra set of tracks because you've got to relearn them from scratch. There are new, let's say, parts of the track where you can drift, and there are some where you don't, where perhaps you did need to drift if you raced them in the opposite direction. And it's a game that keeps on giving, really.
Nitrous is ready. Aren't you going to use it?
But there isn't too much else you can say about it. It's just a very high quality racing game which is all about racing, and that's it. There are very, very few tuning options because there's no realism here, so the only thing you get like different stages of tuning that you can add to the car before the race
Piece of cake.
and that you can purchase, and that's about it, really. Now let's show you a slightly different kind of track. I mean, they are mostly city tracks, but there's the odd one here that, you know, you get one going through a mountainside, you get one racing around a bay area, and very much like, it's quite reminiscent of Monaco. And then you get one where you race around an airport loop. And there's one where you race through some caves, some very interesting caves. And of course there's a slightly gritty one that goes through an industrial area. And that's the one we'll have a look at. Where is it? See, there's so many different types of track. Industrial Drive, there you go. That's quite interesting. Let's try a different car, why not? What was that, standard? No, let's do mild.
As the race is about to begin.
Yeah, you know, when I do get my PS3 out just to play on it, it's this game I play most of all, along with Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, which I reviewed before this one, and a few other PS3 games that I really like. What is it? Metal Gear Rising. And there's a X-Men Origins Wolverine is a really good slash 'em up. Then you've got things like Mini Ninjas, which is really very charming, and countless others. Unreal Tournament 3 is
Racers.
one I can review at some
Industrial
point.
Drive.
That's really
Today's
cool.
race is about to begin.
But more on that
That's our
later when it
machine
comes.
shaking up. Okay, are you ready to...
Anyway, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
I really can't stress enough how brilliant the music is here. It just suits this game absolutely perfectly. I've never played a racing game with more suitable music. Perhaps with the exception of Wipeout.
Slipstreaming.
But you can't have any other music playing here. When you play Ridge Racer, you have to have techno. And it has to be really good, high quality, smooth techno like this one. It's bloody good. Some of the best Ridge Racer music you'll ever hear. There's a slightly more gritty part of the city here, look.
Hey. Uh-oh.
Now, you know when your nitrous bar fills up, when you've got all three sections of it, or segments, shall I say, you keep the button held down and the car just runs away with you. And when you drift, it helps to fill it up. I know I put the unlimited one on for the purpose of the video, but when you're playing normal Grand Prix mode, then you really got to be careful when and how you drift to fill up that bar, because you need to gain an advantage on your opponents if you want to win. And unfortunately, that's pretty much all you can say about Ridge Racer. For the uninitiated, if you really fancy a different kind of racing game that's not realistic at all, that doesn't involve heavy tuning options, and you just want to pick it up and play it,
Nitrous is ready. Aren't you gonna use it?
try it out. I'm going to say, if there's one thing I should have done perhaps before reviewing, is going online and seeing how active
You're in second place.
the online community is, but I don't think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this review here. And I look forward to the next time. Now, for those of you that have a PSP, if you get the PSP version, the one Ridge Racers, or Ridge Racers 2, that's the one to have. It's got every single track from every single Ridge Racer game, the same graphical engine as this, and it's really, really brilliant. It's the best Ridge Racer game ever, that one. I would recommend that if you don't have a PS3 but have a PSP. You won't necessarily miss out on Ridge Racer 7, because the PSP version is pretty much the same but with more tracks and more cars. So highly recommended, really. I would say this is the last Ridge Racer game released for any console, but I'd be lying. I'm half lying. First of all, after this one we had something called Ridge Racer Unbounded. Now personally, I don't rate that one, because for me that's not Ridge Racer. I don't know why it's got the Ridge Racer name, because it's not. If you play it, it's Burnout. It's exactly identical to Burnout. It's no different. It emphasizes crashing and smashing, and you know, there's nothing Ridge Racer about it. And when I bought it, I kept it for about 2 or 3 weeks, then I exchanged it and I never bought it again. I just got so annoyed with it. I thought, this is not Ridge Racer. So, you know, I think my personal opinion, this is the last Ridge Racer game, the proper Ridge Racer game ever released. And yeah, this one and the PSP versions. I wouldn't bother with any others. If you really love the traditional way that Ridge Racer plays, I'd stick with this one. It's just really great. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm not sure what I'm going to review next time, and I won't leave it so long either. It'll perhaps be a surprise. But anyway, in the meantime, you know where you stand with retro. Ciao, ciao.